Today we're going to talk about scatter plots and the types of associations that those scatter plots can reveal. So an association is just the way the data sets are related. So is there a pattern that we can learn from those scatter plots? So we can have a positive association, a negative association, or no association. So a positive association is as one value goes up, the other value also goes up, or as one goes down, they both go down. So for example, height versus arm span, or maybe the amount of time that has passed and the number of bacteria that's in that potato salad that was sitting out all day. And then if you were to take a line and fit it to the pattern of those points, you would see it has a positive slope. A negative association is as one value goes up, the other goes down. So for example, the temperature outside and the number of hot chocolate cups that someone might sell, right? So it gets hot, no one wants hot chocolate. So if you fit a line to those data points, you would see it has a negative slope. You can also have data sets that have no association. So there's no pattern that we can pick up from that. So for example, maybe the number of pets a person has and their shoe size, right? You can have people, lots of combinations and maybe not a pattern. So on page 437, number 6, we are going to look at this scatter plot here. So when we look at the axes, we see that it is a plot showing the reading level and the height for 16 students. So as the height increases, we can see the reading level is increasing. Now you might notice this little like zigzag, and all that is just showing you that there's a break in that scale. It goes from 0 to, and it jumps straight to like 35. So that's just a way to show us that there's a break in the scale. And one of the things, that's helpful sometimes for students is to label those missing data points on the axes. So if that's helpful to you, that's something that you might want to do. And so we're going to try to describe this association and think about what might cause that association. So we're going to talk about this more tomorrow, but when you're going to fit a line to a set of scatter plots, you want to try to follow the pattern as they go up and then have about the same number of points above and below that line. So it shouldn't go like, crisscross to those points. It should follow along with those points and have about the same number above as below. And you can see that had a positive correlation. As the reading level went up, so did the height, right? So what might be causing that? Well, there's a positive association between reading and height because as you get taller, you're getting older, and as you get older, your reading level increases. So looking back at the graph, I just wanted to point out there is an outlier in that data point. So you see that point there at 645. So that point is an outlier, and we would ignore that when we are making our line. Now looking on page 438, number 1, we are going to look at a table here where Bob recorded his height at different ages, and then we're going to plot that make a scatter plot. You may want to fill in those missing data points on the scale. Just make it a little bit easier for yourself, or maybe you don't need to. But, as a person gets older, they generally get taller. So as Bob goes from 6 to 14, right, each year he's getting taller. And we're going to plot those points on the scale there. And we're going to kind of see that, he gets taller, and but maybe towards 14, he starts to flatten out a little bit. But generally the association, right, as his age increases, so does his height. They increase together, and that's a positive association. The other graph on page 438 is about basketball shooting and the number of shots attempted or tried and the shots made, which again, right, kind of makes sense. The more times you shoot, the more likely you are to make it. However, there are some clusters and there's an outlier. So you may want to, looking at that, there's a general positive association, although there are some clusters and an outlier.